Hello, I will be discussing what I have learned since the beginning of the year until now. Before taking media studies, I had never used, set up or even touched a professional camera. Therefore, with no experience, I started from scratch. At the beginning of the year in September, when we had our first introduction to the studio, this is where all the magic happened. We were taught how to set up the camera, and the camera we used was called the Blackmagic camera. Matt demonstrated how to use a Blackmagic camera before we got our hands on them, so that we would have an idea about what we were going to do ourselves. He first set up the tripod, then he handheld the camera with both hands and securely attached the camera to the tripod. The Blackmagic camera is used for many different things. For example, it is very good at focusing on objects and they are extremely easy to set up. He then asked the class to do it in groups. While we were setting up our cameras and tripods, Matt had explained that there were also some words that we would be having to use while handling the camera equipment. This new terminology that I was taught is used in the film industry by people working on films with different roles. The director will say, "stand by," then the cameraman or woman will say, "standing by." This will mean that she is ready. The director will then say, "roll camera." The camera person will then say, "camera rolling." This means that they have pressed record on the camera. The director will then say, "action," meaning the scene is being recorded. This practical taught me how to keep organised on set and also safe. This is because if there was a stuntman or there was an explosion, the crew would not want to make any mistakes or it will be a waste of time and money. In our second workshop in the film studio, we were taught the rule of thirds and the 180-degree rule. The rule of thirds is making sure that the image is split into 9 equal parts with the main subject in the middle, as it will make the audience's eye be attracted to the most important part the director wants the audience to be focused on. The 180-degree rule is when the camera operator makes sure that they do not pass the 180-degree angle, otherwise the shots will not look correct when editing. After we had learnt our new key points in filming, we were put into small groups to film short sequences. Our sequences were just to practice using different film shots in my group, and I used a series of shots. For example, wide shots, close-ups and behind the shoulder shots. I really enjoyed filming this, as I had never experienced what I had experienced within this workshop before. The next lesson, we got to edit our short sequences. I had never used Premiere Pro before, so it took a while for me to adapt to using it properly. This workshop really prepared me for my opening sequence, which I made later on in the year. When planning my opening sequence, we had been assigned groups. I worked well together with my chosen group for my thriller. I feel like we worked well and had achieved what we wanted to. It took a while to get our final idea, which was based on a young man who was part of the military. He had been shot in a few places and was injured. As we enter the scene, he is lying down in the centre of a hospital tent with a single bed inside. The audience first sees him coughing up blood viciously, while blood is splurging out, causing him to die. After he dies, a doctor and a nurse enter the tent to do some checks on the body. They realise the body is completely dead as the light has been shined into his eyes, and they also check his pulse. So they come to the conclusion that there is no sign of him coming back. The two take off their masks and communicate with gestures, not words. They then hear a rather loud noise which causes the two to be aware, so the nurse walks out of the tent to see if anyone is coming. After this, the doctor then gets past a syringe full of bright blue coloured liquid, which is then injected into the dead militant who comes back to life. The last scene is the militant sitting up slowly from the hospital bed, and the shot ends on his eyes that had changed colour to white. On the actual day of the shoot, I was in charge of costume and makeup, while also having the position of being the camera woman. My opening sequence had many different shots, which I had initially learnt in the first workshops that had taken place at the beginning of the media course. We included wide shots, close-ups, mid-shots, focus pull, high-angle shots, and many others. When editing my media opening sequence, we had so many different things to look out for. For example, we had to make sure our sequence flowed properly in order to look professional. We also had to check through the sound to see if there was any background interferences of the cast and the production crew speaking. I feel that my media opening sequence had really taught me how to properly use a camera and edit like a professional. I am so excited to see what I can learn and improve from next year when I am creating a music video with my new group. Overall, what has really prepared me for next year's coursework and for the coursework that I have just completed, being my thriller, was the workshops. These workshops with Matt helped me achieve effective planning, editing and shooting of footage that will benefit me in the long run for next year.